Today on Time About the Movies, Ethan Hawke stars in a vampire action movie with Willem Dafoe and Sam Neill. Amy Adams stars in a romantic comedy that's rated PG and released in January. And considering how last January went with Bride Wars and New in Town, that should give you an indication of what's going to happen here. But we also have Michael Cera in a dual role, starring alongside Portia Doubleday, and Tim Allen in an ensemble comedy, which you probably have never even heard of, which could be either a good thing or a bad thing. Think about what month we're in right now, and that should probably be your answer right there. We're looking at the films of January 8th, 2010 today on Time About the Movies.
Like being a vampire, son. I'm good at this. I was never very good at being human.
In the year 2019, most of the population has become vampires. And the remaining humans are farmed for blood.
We're talking about the extinction of the human race.
We need your help.
We're an endangered species. It's time we changed all that.
Who are you?
We're the folks with the crossbows.
This is a chance to change everything.
They could kill you.
I'm already dead. Immunity will vanish as soon as the blood does. What happens when there isn't a single drop left?
Can anyone hear me? They found us. They're everywhere.
I found a cure. I can change you back. What's the cure? Run.
Daybreakers. Rated R. In theaters January 8th.
Welcome to another edition of Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the films of January 8th, 2010. And you just saw our first movie today, and that is Daybreakers, a film that takes place in a futuristic world overrun by vampires. It centers around a vampire corporation which sets out to capture and farm the remaining humans while researching a substitute for human blood. Ethan Hawke plays the vampire hematologist Edward Dalton, whose work is interrupted by the human survivors, led by former vampire Elvis, played by Willem Dafoe, who has a cure that can save the human species. You also have a cast that also includes Isabel Lucas and also Sam Neill among the cast in here. And this is a movie where you see it in January, and your first thought is, oh, this is clearly a movie that they had a whole lot of high ambitions for, but it turned out to be not that great overall. So, yeah, just dump it in the month of January and hope that nobody sees it because it's a bad movie, right? Well, you might be surprised on this one. This actually is a lot better than you would give it credit for. First of all, I love the fact that that by 2019, everyone's going to be vampires, which, remember when that happened? Good times overall. But, then again, I do have teeth that are kind of like a vampire's. Not really. I apologize for that. But anyway, this is a movie where they thought within 10 years everyone was going to be vampires. But then again, this is an alternate universe, so I guess that makes sense. But you could have gone a little bit longer than that. I mean, 10 years. I mean, even then, that's pushing it. But regardless, this is a really good movie. This is actually one that was actually kind of surprised that it actually did kind of work. I mean, it's a movie where you have a lot of cool designs overall. It's cool to see the vampires actually look like normal people, like Sam Neill with the vampire eyes. It's kind of cool to see. And it has a nice stylistic look to it. It's a very cool looking film. It's kind of like the vampire equivalent to something like They Live. I couldn't remember the title, but They Live is kind of similar to this. And, except you don't have Roddy Piper going like, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Like, you don't have lines like that. You don't have cool people like Keith David in that movie. But then again, for what this is, I liked it. I actually thought it was a lot better than most people would give it credit for. And for a film like this to come out in January, it's a good January horror film, which is something that is very, very rarely hard to come by. I mean, it's a film that actually does kind of work overall, and in fact, these guys actually got a chance to do more movies down the road with Predestination. Then they did the Jigsaw spin-off sequel, kind of, to Saw, and then they did Winchester, which, not really that great overall, but Jigsaw was actually kind of decent for the most part, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's one I highly recommend checking out. Daybreakers, it's one you should definitely seek out, So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to movie number 2 here, easily the worst film of the week, and like I said, it's a PG-rated romantic comedy starring Amy Adams, and considering what we had last year with a double whammy of Bride Wars and New in Town, I think you got an indication of what this one's going to be like. This is Leap Year.
They're earrings.
In Ireland, a woman can propose to a man on leap year, you know.
On January
I
8th,
need a taxi to Dublin.
I'll drive you to Dublin.
Thank you.
something unpredictable,
You can't.
something unavoidable
You two are married, aren't you?
It's Mr. and Mrs.
Okay.
Lovely.
is becoming something
Naked. Here.
undeniable.
Will you marry me?
Leap Year, rated PG, in theaters January 8th.
Overall, the plot of this isn't really all that bad. You have a story where you have Amy Adams, who wants to be married to her boyfriend, played by Adam Scott, of course, from Step Brothers, and this was before he was on Parks and Recreation, but she decides to travel to Dublin to propose to her boyfriend on Leap Day, as Irish tradition allows. There's a tradition in Ireland where a girl can propose to her boyfriend in Ireland on Leap Day, and so she decides to go there, and she gets there's problems with her getting there, so she ends up with this guy, Matthew Good, who basically doesn't really want to drive her there, but she's willing to pay him to do that. So, you could pretty much figure out where it's going to go from there. And it takes a plot that actually does sound really interesting. And these aren't made by hacks either. This is made by, the director of this is Anna Tucker, who did Shop Girl a couple years ago, which was really good, a very underrated Steve Martin, Claire Danes movie. And this is written by Deborah Kaplan and Harry Elfond. They've written a lot of good stuff, like Can't Hardly Wait, Josie and the Pussycats. So these aren't written by hacks overall, but the film itself just doesn't work. Not really because of the script in general. I mean, it is a standard formula romantic comedy, but it has a good idea to it where it could easily work. But sadly, the worst thing about the movie is that everybody in this movie is either a douchebag or they're just completely unlikable. Amy Adams is one of the most charismatic, charming actresses we have out there, and to see her in a movie like this where she's doing absolutely nothing, just playing the stock romantic comedy cliche character that anybody could have played, easily anybody could have played, and she's just not given a lot to do here. Her chemistry between her and Matthew Good, and even with her and Adam Scott, does not work well at all. It's just like, why do you want to be with either one of these people, honestly? The only one who really comes out of this relatively unscathed is John Lithgow, who plays her father, and Again, it's John Lithgow. I mean, the guy is an acting god. I mean, he can pretty much do anything and he can make it work. But it falls into those tropes that you just don't like. Every single romantic comedy cliche, like the one scene I always remember from this is when she goes to the airport and she wants to get to Dublin, and she's just like, no, you should find a way for me to get to Dublin. And it's just like, oh, let's go ahead and just do that. Would you get a private jet for this woman right away? And it's just like, how entitled do you have to be? To get to that point? At that point, it's just like, you really need to think about what you're doing here. And it would be something if the guy she paired up with to take her to Dublin actually was someone interesting or actually was a nice person. But no, there's a point in the movie where she's getting undressed and he's just like, okay, I'll take you just to be desperate, and she's just like, get out. It's just like, instead of just waiting for her to get fully clothed, it's just like, no, he just keeps going, just like, €500, like you said. It's just like, dude, get the fuck out of there. It's like, if anybody else was to do that, and this guy was not a handsome person, that guy would have been considered a creep and all that. But no, he's got to do it because he's the charming romantic lead who really is the one that she should be with. And it's just like, get the fuck out of here with that stuff. And even at the end, when they do the whole rom-com cliche thing, it's just kind of like, it feels really bland and pointless. And Adam Scott, like, he's one of those guys that's just like, as soon as you hear him say something like, hey bro, what's up? It's just like, okay, he's clearly the guy that you're not supposed to like in here. And it's just like, this film does not do anything new or different than we've seen done in any other movie like this. If the one thing I could say to this film's credit is that it's better than some of the bad romantic comedies from the year before, like Bride Wars, New in Town, The Ugly Truth. But even then, it's not really saying a whole lot, because it's Bride Wars, New in Town, and The Ugly Truth. I mean, those were bad comedies. This is a bad comedy too, but a bad comedy that had a good idea, but it just can't make it work. I mean, it just can't make it work because the studio probably wanted them to do a straightforward, cheap romantic comedy without anything new or refreshing, and this is the end result of it. Plus, like I said, PG-rated romantic comedies in this time were almost never work at all. They are usually pretty bad, but there is two exceptions this year that we'll get to later on in May, because there are two PG-rated romantic comedies that actually did turn out to be really damn good. But again, We'll get to those in about 5 months' time here, but or in this case, 5 days' time. But actually, no. Well, 5 months down, 5 months from where we're at right now, we'll get to those ones. But so anyway, last leap year. Before we get continue on here, I just want to remind you, of course, to go ahead and hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button if you like this video and want to see more videos like it. So anyway, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie we have here. Probably the overall best movie of the entire week. I mean, easily the best movie of the week, and that is In Revolt, starring Michael Cera.
Amazing how much action everyone around me seems to be getting.
If you're looking for New Year's resolutions, we have some suggestions.
It's time to be bad.
Take a road trip. Pick up a hobby.
I really don't know much about wood.
That's not what I've heard.
Meet new people.
You could probably sneak you in after like that.
What was it?
I fear it could be terribly addicting.
And expose yourself to new ideas.
What the hell are you doing in your underwear?
In Revolt.
Should we do my front now?
Like that.
This is exactly the type of movie you think it is, but in a good way. It's a really, really intriguing little gem of a film here. Based off of the book of the same name, you have Michael Cera starring as a shy and local teenager desperate to lose his virginity. And while on a trailer park holiday with his mother and her boyfriend, he meets an attractive girl played by Portia Doubleday and is immediately smitten. When the two are separated, Nick must learn how to rebel in order to be with the girl he loves. And so he creates this alter ego in the form of Francois Dillinger, a suave, rebellious troublemaker. Yeah, it's a movie where it's Michael Cera basically playing two different roles in here, and playing them pretty well here, even though he's very much playing the same character kind of in both ways, shapes, and form, but he is very fun to watch in here, and there is a lot of good fun elements all across the board in here. Like, you have Michael Cera in these double roles here. I like his chemistry with Portia Doubleday, and there's a great cast involved in here. Gene Smart, Mary-Kate Place, Justin Long, Fred Willard, Ray Liotta, one of two movies he's in this weekend, Steve Buscemi, Zach Galifianakis. I mean, there is a strong cast overall in here. This is directed by Miguel Artero, who actually, this is his first film he's made since The Good Girl, which is a movie I really liked that came out in 2002 with Jennifer Aniston and John C. Reilly. And this is kind of on that same wavelength, too. It's a film that is very much more on the same wavelength as something like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, but is written more like The Good Girl. And it's a movie that I really do like a lot. I think it's a very good movie, very funny movie, very good coming-of-age movie in general. And like I said, his chemistry with Portia Doubleday in both those dual roles works really well, even though he is pretty much playing the same character overall. It works fine for what it is. I think it is a very solid film. I think it's a very entertaining film. It's a really good film. I recommend checking it out. In Revolt, another one of those rare surprises that came out this weekend. Actually, we've had two really good movies in the first two films of the new year, and that's really rare when you really think about it. But hey, that means we're probably off to a good year in general here coming up, maybe. But let's see if we can end the show on a high note by taking a look at our last film, and that is Tim Allen with an ensemble cast in Crazy on the Outside.
After 3 years in prison, Tommy Zelda couldn't wait to get home.
You're my brother. I love you, so I lied.
Until he got there.
So where have I been for 3 years?
Welcome home from France.
Statistically speaking, people who go to France and then get out of France usually end up back in France.
His old partner is tempting him.
Come on, get in. I think he means me. Tommy, I want you back. That take us $12 million.
You just got out of prison.
And how's that going for you?
Got a little mess on the poop deck.
Will they all ever get along? I did not realize this. This was actually Tim Allen's first ever film as a director, and I presume it's his last one as a director, because I don't think he's directed anything else since then. But he stars in this movie as an ex-con who deals with quirky family members, his ex-lover, and his partner in crime, and simultaneously he falls in love with a single mom who happens to be his probation officer. And that full trailer shows a lot of people in this movie. I mean, you have Tim Allen, you have Sigourney Weaver, you have Gene Triplehorn, J.K. Simmons, Julie Bowen, Kelsey Grammer, Ray Liotta, I lost my train of thought there, John Grease. You know, a lot of notable names in this movie. Like, this is filled with some notable names in here in general. And, you know, this sounds like a film that doesn't really have a whole lot in general, but you got a lot of people in here maybe they can make it work. And a lot of people that Tim Allen has worked with in the past. I mean, he worked with Sigourney Weaver on Galaxy Quest. He worked with Ray Liotta on Wild Hogs, Kelsey Grammer on Toy Story 2, Julie Bowen with Joe Somebody. This is a guy that has worked with these people before. Maybe they got something here. Sadly, they don't. This is a movie that is basically the equivalent of a TV pilot, pretty much. I mean, right down to the writers of this being two guys who have written a lot of TV script stuff. Judd Pilot, the guy's literally name is Pilot, and John Peasley. And I think they've written for Home Improvement, among other things as well. But, yeah, this is pretty much not a sign that this is a good movie overall. And it really is not that good of a film. It's just a movie that really doesn't play to the standards of somebody like Tim Allen. Like, he could make entertainment on a number of different wavelengths. I mean, Home Improvement is kind of a generic show, but it works because he has that charm and wit to him that actually makes that show likable, among all the other things that happens on there. Even his later stuff, like Last Man Standing, or even more recently, Shifting Gears, these are shows that work because Tim Allen is game for what those shows are, and he can make those shows work in general. Even in the movies that he's been in, you know, the Santa Claus films, for example. I mean, the Toy Story movies. There are just so many things that this guy can be involved in where he actually can be very good. But in here, it really felt like that he really kind of weighed himself down with this one. And he's the director on this. Like, he's the main guy behind this whole thing, and it's just kind of like, what do you do? Like, what happened here? Like, I don't know. I don't know if this was just, maybe this just wasn't a good script overall to work with, but with a cast this big and talented, it's just like, you expect a whole lot more from it, and it's just like, I don't know, man. This just didn't work in general, and it really was a major letdown, considering all the talent they had in here, considering what Tim Allen's capable of as a comedian. It really didn't work overall. You could kind of tell why this came and went and really didn't leave much of a lasting impact overall. Yeah, it's a waste of time, honestly. And it's a shame because there was definitely a lot of effort and possibilities with it, but it is what it is. So that is Crazy on the Outside. And so, on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll head into the middle part of January 2010 by taking a look at two movies, Denzel Washington, Mila Kunis, and Gary Oldman starring in the post-apocalyptic thriller The Book of Eli, and we also have Jackie Chan starring in a family comedy, The Spy Next Door, directed by the same man that gave us The Flintstones and Are We There Yet, and Jingle All the Way, and at least two of those three movies were good. Are We There Yet? Not so much. And take a guess on what Brian Levant you're going to get with this movie. I'll let you think about it until tomorrow. But we'll take a look at both those movies then. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching this and enjoying this. And like I said before, if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell so you get updates on when new videos come out. So with all that said, I am off, and I'm going to try a new ending line for the show here. I want to know what you guys think of this. But with all that said, though, thanks for watching, and whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. See you next time. Take care. Let me know what you think of that down below.